What is up, Watch fam? Happy Friday and welcome to Liquor Run. I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and you are Rolly from Theo and Harris. Today we're going to be drinking a killer Chianti, right?
Yes, we are.
As well as talking about a little of the news from Patek Philippe. So let's get into it. All right, sounds good. But before we do, a quick wristwatch check. So what are you wearing, Pops?
I'm wearing my gold Datejust with a very cool, funky strap.
Yeah, Hermes tie strap.
Hermes tie strap. This makes this watch look so different.
Yeah, it's definitely a love-or-hate thing. I personally love it. You love it. I mean, most everyone that we love it. But we've posted it on Instagram. It's literally thousands of likes, but then you get a couple of people that are just like, Jesus Christ, what the is that on your wrist? But I personally think it's awesome. I'm wearing a watch that you and Mom bought for me. I'm wearing my Omega Seamaster. This is got a chubby case, a beautiful patina dial. It's actually a quick little Zerone family history lesson. This is the exact reference watch that my grandfather, Poppy, had when I was a kid. He still has it, but from when I was a little kid. So my mom and dad got it for me for my 21st birthday because they knew I loved it. So. Yep. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So today we're going to be talking, yes, about a Chianti, but also about a couple of things that have been happening in the news with Patek. We won't get into that yet, but something about the discontinuation of the Nautilus, and a New York exhibition. But before we do that, wine. What are we drinking?
A wine that's very near and dear to us.
Yep.
A 2012 Ruffino Chianti Classico Reserva.
Yep.
I need that say more.
This is a bottle of wine that really we've been, of course, not the year, but we've been drinking for a long, long time, right? I mean, I'd say if anything, the Chianti Classico is probably the wine that I grew up drinking, right?
Yeah, well, specifically around the holidays, Christmas Eve, this wine is the go-to of a Christmas Eve table.
Yeah.
We suck it down with a lot of fish. In fact, only fish.
Yeah.
And we average about 1.8 bottles per person. So it is definitely
it is a really good
official
meal,
red wine.
I don't know if you guys do the whole fish Christmas Eve, the 7 fishes, but we do. And this wine is definitely kind of synonymous with that cold weather and stuff calamad, right?
Yeah, and there's good reason for that.
Yeah. So tell me more about this particular wine.
Well, like I mentioned, this wine comes from the Chianti Classico region in Tuscany. The principal grape here is Sangiovese. Okay. So Sangiovese is synonymous with Chianti, and Ruffino is a big player in Tuscany, in Chianti. Cool. So let's open it up.
Let's open it up, and let's do it. Let's have a sip, and then let's talk some watches.
Yeah.
So you want to get into this whole Nautilus debacle?
Yeah, talk about it.
So William Messina, who's a big, very famous, not only collector, but player in the watch appreciation kind of world. Right? He did a really cool episode talking watches with Hodinkee that I should actually show you. I'll let you take a look at it. Got some serious watches, particularly by Patek Philippe. So he did an interview with Thierry Stern, who is now the CEO or the president of Patek Philippe. He's an original Stern, so it's the family that's owned Patek, literally forever. So he alluded to, not alluded to, he basically said that one day, not quote unquote, I'm paraphrasing, he'll have to make the decision to discontinue the Nautilus. But like what? I mean, you know the Nautilus. Okay, to take a third. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'll step back. What do you think? I mean, doesn't that just sound ridiculous? Isn't this the watch that anyone knows Patek for?
To me, that could be just a brilliant marketing move, just to put that on the marketplace.
Okay, we're talking about it.
To say, what? Did you hear this? Yeah. And it evokes a lot of emotion. Yeah. It's like Porsche saying that they have to retire the 911. It will no longer be in production.
How many 911s are you going to sell then? A lot of 911s. Yeah.
I don't think you can separate the Nautilus from Patek.
No.
It's the model that defines Patek Philippe.
For sure, especially, it's probably the most famous watch in the world, if not one of the top 3 And when you think of Patek Philippe, to me, that's the watch that people are thinking about. How is it?
Nice
Good?
nose.
Let's jump into it.
Let's see. Yeah.
So that is really nice. We'll get into tasting notes in a second, but that to me is it's ridiculous. You know, I get it. Grand comps, you know, like the $500,000 Pateks, the crazy stuff that made Patek famous as watchmakers to begin with. That's not changing. That's not going away. But to think that I'm going to say, yeah, my bedrock watch, forget about it. I'm going to, you know, of course, I think you might be right with the marketing move, but it is a little, you know, it is an odd thought. It is an odd thought.
It's just something that, you know, having a little bit of a background in marketing, you know, I look at that as you're trying to, you know, create a new market or just amplify the existing desire and thus expanding the acquisition of the watch.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like when you know, it's almost like putting a limit on how many there are.
Of course.
Even though there aren't. Well, there isn't. I mean, you know, but I don't know. It's very interesting as far as what it's going to do for the desire of the watch.
So let's talk a little bit about this Patek exhibition in New York City.
Yeah, over by Cipriani.
Right.
Yep. They brought floors of truly high quality, brand new and vintage Patek Philippe's for everyone in the world, particularly New York, to go see. What do you think about it?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts about this, and here's my take as someone who's a little bit older than you.
Yep.
Right. I dabble in social media.
You do. You keep your own.
But I think that a live event where I can see, you know, feel, touch something that I'm very interested in, I get an experience that I otherwise would not get through social media.
Yep.
And for me, that would be an important component in deciding if I want to buy a watch like that.
Yeah.
So I think it still appeals to people that
really probably make up the big buyer pool.
Perhaps, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the demographics are, but I would imagine a lot more guys like you are buying Pateks than guys like me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think another thing that's really interesting is obviously, you know, you've made it clear that the depth is a lot more possible in an in-person kind of, you know, meeting, an event, an exhibition in this example, whereas, you know, social media doesn't do the trick for your demographic maybe. But I think what's even more important, or maybe not more important, but equally as important, is did you even, you know, see that there was a vintage Patek exhibition on social media? No. There are so many people, you know, I'm talking about money-wise, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, right? In people in your demographic that are, maybe on social media, but aren't really into it deep. And although I knew there was one because I saw it every day on social media, you didn't.
Right.
But that's Patek's responsibility to find where you are spending your time.
Sure.
You know, and they did. And that's why I think that the other reason, not only do they give you that depth, but they're making sure you know it exists somewhere. So how about all the hundreds of thousands of dudes who really could probably buy a Patek that walk by that exhibition by Cipriani every day for 10 days?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people saw that and had no intention of buying a watch the day before,
right?
But now are like, whoa, that's the watch you give your son. I've heard of that before 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's huge value. Yeah. I think that Patek killed it with that.
I think it's a great idea.
Buy a Patek?
Do. When are we going?
He's a Longa man. He's not a Patek man.
No, I'm not.
What is it? The Longa? Which one do you want?
1815
in white.
In white.
Oh, with what kind of strap?
Blue. Deep blue.
What if Longa did an event like that? You'd be there in a second.
I would absolutely be there.
Yeah. Love it. All right, so let's get back into the wine. What do we got here?
Yeah, so 2012, a really nice year for Chianti, specifically for Ruffino's Chianti.
Yep.
This wine is real classic Chianti.
Okay.
It has that beautiful tart cherry flavor that is just so classic to Sangiovese. Okay.
It goes down so easily.
It has, it does, and it for me, why I love the wine so much is that it has that old world flavor. It has a little bit of I would call it almost like a meaty flavor to it. Maybe even like a hint of minerally. That
The mineral, I get there. You know, on this kind of wine, you're that cherry. You're so right. But that I think that mineral kind of aspect is what gives it that extra facet that stops you from feeling like you just put a bunch of cherries in your mouth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It doesn't have. It has that extra facet or two or whatever that kind of balance it out. That gives you or requires you to take an extra second or two to think about it. You know, I love this wine.
It's
this
lovely.
Wine is very near and
great
dear.
Color. It's got this garnet color. You know, nice red. It's not Cabernet red.
Yep.
But it lovely shade of red. Very nice and clear too. This wine is a fantastic food wine, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. This begs for a nice pasta.
Yeah, oh my God.
You can't do better at this price point, and we didn't even talk about
How much is it?
This one is now about 19, almost $20.
Yeah.
So this is on the upper end of what we typically drink.
Yeah.
But
especially in mass on Christmas.
In mass, and we drink this in mass.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it's just kind of funny. I mean, this is culturally, this is a wine, if not the wine that the Italian men go out, buy in droves, bring to the Christmas table. Yeah. And it's like, okay, for one night, no matter how much money we actually have, we have money. You know what I mean? Like it's that wine. I mean, this is the gift. Yes. Around that time of the year, if you're from, I guess, Brooklyn, Staten Island, New York.
If you're from that area, that's when you're being invited to a Christmas. They're coming in, right?
He brought the gold. He brought the gold.
Sergio Tacchini.
No, I don't know. We don't go that far.
Chains and 2 bottles of.
But that's awesome. That's awesome.
Nice wine. I can't say enough about it.
Yep.
Ruffino is a big player in Chianti.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean they're producing crappy wine. They really do a hell of a job with the tan label, as we call it. It's a tan label.
Yeah, I love it.
So we like it. Thumbs up?
Without a doubt. Guys, I absolutely recommend this bottle of wine. Like I said, it's very near and dear to our heart, and it's for a good reason. If it wasn't tasty, if it wasn't good, the tradition wouldn't matter. My dad wouldn't buy it. So that's it, Daddy. Thank you so much for introducing me to this wine. I don't know, 20-something years ago. Yeah. Or 21 years ago, I think, flat.
That's
right. About one when I started drinking it. So cheers, guys. Cheers. Have a happy Friday, and please, if you're into this kind of stuff, pick up a bottle at your local wine shop.